Hey, it's Stephanie with the Stephanie O Show. And another week has gone by. I can't believe it, but another week did go by. So here we are again. Let's go back to last week. What a crazy week. I don't know about you, but Ron Jeremy just blew me away. He is so talented. I know he's an adult entertainer or a porn entertainer or whatever you want to call him. But you know what? The man is talented. You got to give credit where credit is due. And not only has he done adult entertainment, but he has transferred over into mainstream. He's been in a ton of movies. He's been in music videos. And he's really a lovely guy. And by the way, he played his harmonica and sang Happy Birthday to me. So he's okay in my books. Anyway, we also had on Farrah Abraham. Darling, darling girl. Okay, she's into adult entertainment. Nothing wrong with that. If that's what she wants to do, hey, let her do it. And you know what? From what I hear, I didn't get to see her movie myself, but from what I read, she did a damn good job. So power to you, Farrah. Also, we had on Alan Action, Sugar Daddies for Me. Interesting character. Definitely a site, if you have nothing to do on a rainy day, go look at Sugar Daddies for Me. This site is really out there. I mean, I couldn't believe it at first when I heard about this, but it's the real deal. There are guys who say, hey, I'm going to spend a couple of dollars and I'm going to find either a young girl, an old girl, a middle girl. They don't even care. It doesn't matter. But they're looking for somebody that they can pay to be their friend. I don't think there's any, wrongdoing involved here. I think they just want a friend. Well, that's what I'm kind of going to believe. So power to you also, Alan. Good job. Also, we had on my co-host, Adrian Schwartz, Star Magazine, Radar Online. Unbelievable, gossip queen, friend, the best. No other words to describe it. Well, now we're on. Hi, Adrian.
Hey,
Hi.
Steph. How are you this week?
I am great. So instead of me talking about this week, since I'm seeing your beautiful face on my screen in front of me, and I'm even getting poses now. Am I the lucky girl? Let's start with Star. So since we're here in New York and we don't have the cover yet on our newsstands, who's on the cover?
Yeah, it's a great magazine this week. It's Jessica's Diet Disaster is our cover.
Really?
She can't lose the weight.
Oh,
We've got 178 pounds and she can't lose it.
Wow.
I mean, she is someone who has been paid to lose weight before. She's a Weight Watchers spokesperson.
Right.
And she is trying to crash and lose it all at one time, and it just doesn't work.
Well,
and so the bag sort of covers this whole life that she has where she's stuck at this weight. She wants to see herself in her Daisy Dukes.
Well, that might be a little unrealistic. I'm sorry. We all have to come to terms, like when we have children, that I don't know if those hips are ever going to go like that. They may stay like this a little bit. It's just the way it is,
Well, people can do it. I mean, we actually spoke to an awesome trainer.
Okay.
By the name of Andy. Listen, he's someone that.
Hey, I'm writing his name down. Who is he? Because I could use one.
No, Andy Petranek. He is the founder of CrossFit LA. We should actually have him on.
Okay.
He is, and he just wrote a book called Fire Your Gym.
Really?
And he pointed out that Jessica cannot just crash and lose all of this weight, because what happens is you work out and you barely eat, and you barely eat, and then it just you give up, and then you start eating and not. It just is sort of, then you do this whole roller coaster effect. And he's saying, the problem with being a celeb and in the public eye is they want to lose 40 pounds the first month, 10 pounds each additional, or 15 pounds each additional month. It doesn't stay off.
You know what?
Just take it slow, Jessica.
Right. You know what? It all comes down to that Biggest Loser show. You have these people, and people believe this, that you can take somebody and they can pull off 100 pounds in 6 weeks, even though it took 60 years to gain it. We're going to pull it off in 6 weeks. It doesn't make sense. I mean, if you think about it, it doesn't make sense. And even if they are successful in getting this massive amount of weight off of somebody, what have they learned?
Well, but they have. On The Biggest Loser, I have to say, they've got trainers everywhere.
Right.
They have people cooking their food everywhere. They work out all day. I mean, it's a job. It becomes a workout job.
But
They have doctors round the clock.
wow.
That's not realistic.
Right.
Jessica has 2 babies now.
Right.
It's not realistic. You
She
know,
ha- she has to let up on herself though too. I mean,
she does.
I told myself that after I kept having babies, it got harder and harder. You know that. It's hard.
It's true. Well, I didn't go for 8.
You were very smart. Trust me. Trust me. But, you know, we all went through this. It's not easy because when you're pregnant, you can just keep eating. For some reason, like, diet is just not something in your head. At least it wasn't in my head. I mean, I loved Gajuma, ice cream pops, and bacon.
Right.
I don't know why.
God. Well, you know, it's funny because also after you have the baby, you think that'll change. And if you're breastfeeding, it doesn't. You're starving all the time.
Are you? I didn't breastfeed. So.
Starving.
Really?
Oh, I did. You're hungry.
But doesn't
You're
that help
really-
you lose weight? Breastfeeding, they say, right? Doesn't it?
Well, yeah,
Maybe?
it does, but it doesn't work for everybody,
Did it work for you?
obviously. No, listen, let's talk about Chloe and Lamar.
Okay. You know I love the Kardashians. That's like, I think about them all the time.
They think about themselves all the time. So
Oh,
you have to
jeez.
calm down.
So what's going on with them? Tell me.
Well, Lamar is, well, I think he's basically surfing from hotel to hotel, but she went to see him. He's in a Calabasas hotel and she went to see him. She even took a photo of their feet next to each other. And, you know, she wants him to come home and she wants him to be faithful.
Right.
And he's just not ready for that. He
Yeah.
wants to pretend he's faithful, but
I
he's
thought
not.
I thought you were going to tell me we have another girl this week. I was ready to hear who that was.
There are girls.
Are
Steph.
there?
Yeah.
Can we talk about it?
Well, you know, the 2 girls who we spoke to and who we spoke, they've since spoken to other magazines.
Right.
Not the second girl, but the first girl's Jennifer Richardson
Right.
has since spoken. And, you know, she says, and she's opened up about everything. They both have opened up about
Wow.
everything that they've
You
done.
know, you know what's upsetting to me, looking as an outsider, but kind of being in the celebrity world, is it almost seems like the Kardashians blame the girls. They blame the victim. I feel
Oh,
like they're the ones. I do. I feel like the
So true.
Kardashians are blaming the victim. I mean,
Well,
Lamar
and
is.
she
They're
goes
not.
and
Go ahead.
attacks the woman. She attacked she
Right.
physically attacked. So yes.
I don't know what's with them, but let's get on to our main topic for the day, because we
Yes.
have a whole show planned for everybody out there about.
It's a really, really sad topic.
It is. But something we should deal with, because as these reality shows just keep getting bigger and bigger, we're having more and more suicides. In fact, I think there were 3 this week or within the past 2 weeks. It's crazy.
There's a suicide. We have a whole article on it, reality TV suicide epidemic, we call it, because it's huge. There are so many reality stars that have committed suicide, and Gia sort of, you know, was the final straw that brought it to light. And if you look in the magazine, you will see,
Right.
you know,
Well-
it's really it's terrible what
Well-
these people go through.
Well, let's talk about Gia. For people who don't know who Gia was on The Bachelorette and The Bachelor, right? She was on The Bachelor.
Yeah, she was on The Bachelor.
And she was very well liked, very well loved. And her boyfriend was an NBA player.
Right.
And they got into a fight or some type of argument, and she hung herself with the cord of the vacuum cleaner.
She did. And he also, we were told by sources, was cheating on her.
Was he? See, that I didn't know. Because I
Yes.
was thinking to myself, what fight could have led to this? You know? I mean, so
you know,
sad.
It's reported today that actually he told her a couple of hours earlier that he didn't love her.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting? I got to tell you, when I was doing the research on this, and I try and research these things so that I make myself knowledgeable, I
Right.
found that one of the articles said that on the set of a lot of these reality shows, they have therapists. So the question comes to my mind is, are we hiring people that are a little maybe off balance for the entertainment value? And before
Well,
you
it's
answer that,
interesting that you
wait,
say that.
wait,
No, it's
before you,
interesting that you say that.
well,
We
I'm going
have
to let
admit-
I'm going to let you answer that in 1 second, but I'm going to segue us into Jesse Sinjak from the season 4 of The Bachelorette winner, so that he can also talk to us as you talk. Jesse,
Hey, how we doing, ladies?
we're good. Go ahead. Adrian wanted to respond to that, and I sort of cut her off. So I want her to
Jesse,
respond.
And Jesse,
I actually want to cut Adrian off on this one too. The difference
Thanks,
the
Jess.
difference is this: when they have you come on the show, they have a therapist there. They have you answer a 1,200 question multiple choice, test that asks you the same question 5 different ways. Do you love your mother? If your mother died, would you still love your mother? Yada, yada,
Really?
yada. All these
Is that
weird
true?
questions. Okay,
Questions like that?
No, it's totally true. But here's the
Wow.
thing: that doesn't mean that after you go through the process, after 40 or 50 million people know who you are, and you get 100 emails a day that are death threats or telling you to kill yourself, that you're then not changed by that experience. Okay, so when you go on the show, you could be absolutely mentally stable. Everything's fine. You go through the process.
Right.
You really fall in love. The Bachelor, the Bachelorette decides that they need to fall in love with you for the TV show because that's what producers are telling them. So you get your heart broke. Then you move away from the show. You kind of try to get back to your life, and you fall into this different lifestyle than maybe you were in prior to going on the show from the experience. Maybe you're dating pro athletes. Maybe you're not. You move away from your support structure, your support team. You change states to follow this love story that you've kind of made for yourself organically. And then that love story naturally crumbles out from underneath you, and you don't have a support system. You don't know what to do. Everybody's been in that lull in their life where they're like, oh, my God, I could just die right now. But most people give it a day, a month, a week, a year, and they come through it. And that's not saying that there's a right or wrong answer for it. But I'm just saying that you don't know each person's individual situation, and it's very difficult to say what someone's feeling after they go through an experience like that. Not everybody can handle going through an experience like that, and that's why they go through such a strenuous casting process, is to find out, who can and who can't, period.
Do you feel that they push people over the edge?
Absolutely. That's what makes good TV.
Right.
When you see they cast people, they know who is going to drink too much and spill the beans, and they cast those characters strategically for that reason. They cast, pardon my French, the hard ass. They
But
cast.
also, Jesse, I think that people can pass a test like that, and maybe they're not asking the right questions. I mean, many people
Absolutely.
who are, these are people, let's face it, you want to be famous. A lot of the people that go on TV, they want to be famous. There's
always something you get out of it.
Right, absolutely.
Right, and they're disappointed when it doesn't happen for them. And this happens for a lot of people, and it's one more letdown in someone's life. Now, for The Bachelor particularly, because you go there looking for love. A lot of people go there looking for love or for fame, and it seems like Gia didn't get either particularly.
Really?
The thing that blew my mind about this whole Gia situation is this. When you go on reality television, you automatically create haters for yourself, okay? No matter what you do, how amazing you are on the show, somebody hates you somewhere. And that's just par for the course. It's just how it works. However, with Gia, she didn't have haters. Everybody that met Gia liked her and was drawn to her. She was just an amazing human being. And it didn't matter if it was a guy, a girl, an old man, or an old woman. Everybody loved Gia. So this was kind of a total sledgehammer to the Bachelor community to hear that this happened, because everyone loved her. I mean, it was just unreal. We're like, holy smokes. Like, she never had to try to get attention from guys.
Right.
Guys
Well, maybe
gave her attention all on their own, you know? So we don't know. It was like, whoa.
maybe that was the problem. But you know what? We're going to break for a commercial, and we're going to come back. I'd like to also bring in Big Brother and what's going on now in the Big Brother house, and talk about those girls and what's going to happen when they get out. This is Stephanie with the Stephanie O Show. We're going to break for commercial, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Hey, it's Stephanie with the Stephanie O Show, and this has really been amazing. We're trying to figure out why there is such an amazing and horrible number of suicides amongst reality stars or celebrities. I have Jesse Sinjak on the line from The Bachelorette, Season 4 winner, and of course the lovely and charming Adrian Schwartz, Star Magazine, Radar Online. In fact, you must get Star Magazine this week. Although in New York, we have to wait till tomorrow. You must get Star Magazine, because I got a little sneak preview, and the stories are amazing. So guys, let's go back to what we were talking about.
Well, I mean, I think it's difficult. And you were saying you were saying Big Brother, and I think there is no guarantee when you go on one of these reality shows that anything's going to happen for you afterwards. Whether it'll take you somewhere else. I mean, you have Bethany Frankel, who's made $1 jillion afterwards. You have people who have ricocheted to true stardom, and you have people who have committed suicide. And there are just far too many people who have committed suicide. More people, I think, who have done that than people who are on, who have made it big.
Right. I tend to agree with you.
Being on reality television is such a brainwashing effect on your life. It's really unbelievable. You go on there, and you grew up in northeastern Ohio like I did, and you're used to seeing cornfields and and big diesel trucks rolling around. The next you wake up and there's a helicopter landing in the driveway, and things that were never a reality or even in your wildest dreams are literally happening to you. So when the producers all of a sudden are telling you, "Oh, we're going to take care of you afterwards. Everything's going to be good," you believe it.
Do they say that? See, we don't know that they say that. Do they say that?
Oh,
they do.
Yeah.
Really?
I could tell you of probably 6 people every season that come off The Bachelor that say, "Oh, they're going to make me the next Bachelor. Oh, they asked me to be the next Bachelor." Of course they did. Of course they said that to you because they want you to continue to do what they tell you to do. They want you to continue to show up at appearances and do things because it's good for the show.
Do they pay? Do they pay you for that?
Simple.
Do they pay you for any
No,
of these?
you biggest misconception on planet Earth. You will not receive a check doing anything for ABC's The Bachelor, The Bachelorette unless you are one of the elite Trista Sutter, Ryan Sutter, Jason, Molly Mesnick,
Really?
something along those lines. Somebody who's being paid, and even then, the money's not that great. You might get a $5,000 appearance. It's not going to make up for the 6 months you took off of work to go on the show to begin with. It is literally career suicide. Anyone who's listening, if you are, getting your master's or you're getting your law degree or you're getting your PhD, do not stop your education to go on reality TV. It is literally the biggest waste of your time and money ever.
Wow, that's very interesting. That is very interesting. It almost sounds like there's mind manipulation going on here.
Well, it's
Absolutely.
like playing the
It's a
lottery
business.
is what it is.
Because when you're locked in these houses and you're not seeing the outside world, you're really being manipulated by whatever they want you to believe.
And Adrian, you're right. It's like playing the lottery.
It is. It's like the chances of you making, winning, $300 million or getting, becoming famous and then having, becoming a talk show because you were on the show.
Right.
It's very, very few and far between.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
And it's disappointing.
People
It's crushing for people.
It's super sad to come off of, the Caribbean dream life and helicopter rides everywhere to back to the mortgage payment, and then you're like, whoa, well, what happened to the ABC checkbook that was paying for everything?
right. Well, that's what.
And it's also coming back when you've missed out on a huge chunk of life and lost a lot of money from taking off. You come back to your real life and you haven't been earning money for so long. You've lost your job. A lot of people give up a lot. I mean, it's stardom,
There is no such thing as real life after the show.
Really?
Very few people go back to the life the way that it was prior to. People treat you differently. The people that, where maybe you went in and you got the deal at the local hardware store when you needed a new door for your rental property, they don't give you that anymore because they think you're rich.
They think
So
you're
the
rich,
people, you're rich and famous now, and you're not. And so all of the, small-time connections that you had that literally were maybe the make or break on, maybe a way of funding your life are now gone because everybody thinks you're rich and famous, and it's sad. It really is sad.
It takes a very strong person to get past and start over again. It does. And, I know Gia and all the other people who we have in the magazine who have done this. When you fill out a form, a questionnaire, many of us know how to answer the questions.
Right.
So if you've had depression in the past, and maybe they ask you that, and you say no because you want to be on the show, many of us know what to say when you're being questioned.
Right.
And I think it's really dangerous. It's a lot of responsibility, and they let a lot of people down. It's hard.
Well, this is why I brought up Big Brother, because I found it very interesting when I read it in the paper that these people have lost their jobs because of things that took place in the Big Brother house, which if it was taking place in your own house, it would be private. But now, since your private persona becomes your public persona, these jobs are looking in on who you are privately.
Right.
It's funny. It's totally funny that you mentioned this. I went on a half a dozen job interviews
Right.
a year and a half after being on the show, and I was told when I went in for my sit-down interview, we really enjoyed watching you on television. However, our company does not affiliate ourselves with reality television personalities. And then they asked if they could have a photo with me. And I found that mind-boggling to me that, a company would, call me in for a sit-down interview to tell me that, or even waste my time in general. I mean, when I say it's career suicide to go on reality television, that's no joke. That's
Right.
the reality of reality television.
I mean, you think Facebook is bad? You go back and play what went on these Bachelor and Bachelorette shows and any of these other reality shows, The Housewives and everything else. It's all there.
It's
everywhere.
true. It's true. It's scary. I mean,
Well, and your boss isn't going to get Google alerts on what you're putting on Facebook. But guess what? When you're in Star Magazine and they're talking about racial slurs that you've said on TV, that's going to show up on Google when your company Googles who you are, and it does really affect your future.
yeah. Well, we see by the fact that these people actually lost their jobs. They have no jobs, so they're in this house. They're being mind controlled by the situation, and they're coming out. They have nothing. What do?
Well, that's just it. You have to start over again. I mean, Jesse's story, he has an incredible story. I mean, if those of you out there listening don't know his story, he did get engaged. He did win, and he did fall in love, and he was crushed, and his heart was crushed, but he fell back in love with Anne, who was on The Bachelor, and he's in love, and he's married, and he has a beautiful child, and they have an amazing store, Jesse, right? You guys have a great place in Colorado.
Which I want to open in New York, Jesse. I still want to open that store in New York.
I'm all about it. I'll tell you what, I really did end up with the fairy tale, and everything happens for a reason. I did get the 1 in a million. I won the lottery on reality television. But I'll tell you what, I don't know anybody that has approached me after me being on the show asking me, hey, how do I get on? What do I do? How do you win? Yada, yada, yada. Who has even come close. So, Adrian, you hit the nail on the head. It is like going to Vegas and putting your house on the line, your livelihood, on red. I mean, the odds are against you all the way around.
Right.
Right. Well,
It's really true. And many people have suffered. Many people have suffered. I mean, look at the woman who committed suicide on the front of the lawn of Paula Abdul because she didn't get chosen. She didn't get chosen, didn't get to the next level.
wow. That's crazy.
That shows you even just how crushing it is to here's our article.
But you know what?
Way.
Wow. But how do we prevent that? The question is, though, how do we prevent it?
There needs to be some sort of, get the word out website or something. Like,
There you go. Get the word out.
I go back and I say this time and time again. Do not quit your job. I mean, you don't know each person's situation, so we can't judge any of these people whatsoever. We don't know how they felt. We just know that they didn't feel good. And the point being is, for all we know, that woman who did that in Paula Abdul's front yard could have had to have quit her job to go on that show thinking that she was going to do it. And then, for all we know, she lost her house to foreclosure, whatever the case may be, all because of the chain effect of what she did thinking she was going to win on reality TV. And again, we can't judge, but all we can do is tell these people, look, the odds are against you. If you wouldn't do it in a Vegas casino, don't do it on reality television. It's not smart.
Yeah,
It's
but
not worth it.
are they going to listen, though? That's the thing. Most people are not going to listen. They're going to, they're going to take their own lottery chance. They're going to buy that ticket.
Absolutely.
They are.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of people that are going to buy that ticket.
That's what it is. That's what it is. I don't even know if there is really a way to prevent this.
Well, I mean, like we said, you can do these. You can check to see whether people are stable before they go in. But like Jesse said, that doesn't mean they're stable when they come out. It just doesn't.
All right, we're going off to a commercial, And when we come back, we'll discuss this further. Stephanie with the Stephanie O Show. We'll be back in a few minutes. Hey, it's Stephanie with the Stephanie O Show, and we're back. And we're joined by Johnny Donovan. It's funny, you know, I look at Johnny as a friend of mine. It's hard for me to, like, describe who he is. You know, it's like when you're friends with somebody, you got to say, okay, he is the head of J. Donovan Productions. He's a booking, he books reality stars. He's amazing. He's a talent agent. He's just somebody I like to be around. And that's all I can say, because I get all tongue-tied just even trying to introduce someone like him. But he's here really for reasons that are not happy and are not really that great. He's here to describe what really goes on in the world of reality. Gia, who we talked about before, was a very good friend of his, and he's going to talk about sort of the dark side of reality.
Thank you for having me on, Stephanie. Again, it's so sad. When I heard the news about Gia, I was very, very sad. I again, speechless. You know, she was a great person to work with, and again, everyone that I tell that I work with a lot of reality stars and a lot of celebrities, I always inform them that I build relationships with people, and some close, some not. Right. And with Gia, it was it was just a very, like, I remember going to her apartment and giving her a deposit for a booking, right. And just becoming friends with her and always texting her and her motivating me to, like, do what I do. So when I heard about the news, I was shocked, you know, because someone who has such a bright personality, and again, it's just mind shocked. But I do understand the pressures. Right. I work with a lot of TV personalities right now, and TV personalities are like, what's the new thing? Like, reality celebrities are the A-list celebrities of today's society.
But when the reality person comes off of their show, do you feel that causes them to go like into a depression, into a tailspin? Is that what's causing it? And we have on, for your information, we have Jesse Sinjak, who was the winner of season 4 of The Bachelorette, and we have Adrian Schwartz of Star Magazine. So if you guys have a question, here's Johnny to ask a question of.
Hi,
so
Adrian.
Join in.
Hi, Jess. How are you?
Hey, Johnny.
Great.
Okay. We Jess, you know, going into a reality show, they give you multiple. A lot of people don't know this when they audition for reality shows, and I've been in finals for a couple of reality shows, and you get flown to LA. You get a psychological exam, and you also get to finals in LA, and you meet the casting directors up close. The psychological exam and a psychological test that they give you, you know, and they kind of tell you what you're getting into. Right. What you're putting yourself into. And a lot of people, when they come off, I've heard it's am I allowed to curse on this?
I don't know.
Am I allowed to curse?
Nobody's ever asked that before, so I don't know the answer to that.
It's a mind situation. It's very mind. You know,
we were calling it mind manipulation.
We can't curse, so I just heard we can't curse. So it's mind manipulation, I guess you said, but it's confusing. I mean, you go from living in a house, getting followed with cameras. I haven't been there yet, but I just got back from doing a show in Miami with Big Ange of Mob Wives, and it's stressful. It's a lot of stress, you know. The people are telling me, like, I can't do it. You know, I had 2 cast members like, they want us to do this and they want us to do this over again, and it's just like a constant schedule, and they're very last minute, and they're told what to wear at times and how to act,
and they're told how to behave.
Yes.
And they're told to overact and to be bigger than themselves. And when you go on a reality show, they choose you because you're already bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
That's the personality of life. So you're literally magnifying a personality that's already magnified. So when the cameras turn off and the lights go down and the show is over, how do you come down? I mean, I spoke to a therapist about it, and they said basically your high on the show is just as low when the whole thing crashes and the lights turn out.
So it's almost like taking a drug.
Sleep deprive you.
I mean, we really
deprive you.
Wait a second. I want to hear that again. They will sleep deprive you purposely?
They will sleep deprive you to get you to do what they want you to do.
Yep. Wow. I've heard stories.
Wow.
You know, even Angelina, a good friend of mine and a client of mine from Jersey Shore, you know, one of the biggest shows on MTV history. You can bring her in on this segment, but we can call her, and she'll tell you, like, the mind, you know, it messed with her head. You know, till this day, she has fears of sleeping in bed with like, you know, like when Paulie in the situation, they put stuff in her bed, and it's just, you know, and
Do you
the
think
and the
that was
producers let
planned,
that
though,
go.
by the producers? Or
Of
do you
course,
think,
it brings in good ratings, good TV.
so you think the producers will do whatever it takes, even if it hurts one of the cast members and it destroys their
I mean,
self-worth?
listen, I'll be realistic. I do a lot of things around reality television, and myself, I'm in pre-development for 2 shows, and I've thought about a lot of things of what I want to do as far as shows and what cast members we want to cast. And again, I've been working around this business for 8 years, and I've heard a lot of different stories, good, bad, and awful situations. And, you know, people always tell me, you know, even like the Bad Girls Club girls, they'll feed us alcohol till we act a fool. I regret doing a lot of things that I did on that show.
Jesse, did you see that on The Bachelorette?
Oh yeah, there's if there's somebody not drinking, there's 3 people trying to pour drinks down their throat. That's how it works.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
you do problem, drama, alcohol, solution, and repeat. Problem, drama, alcohol, solution, repeat, and that's a reality show.
Yep.
Wow.
And then when you're done drinking, they'll put you on camera and say, "So how are you feeling?" Wait, well, I'm trying to remember how I was feeling because I was drunk. I don't remember, you know.
Right.
So, it's
And
my
everyone's fighting all the time, and even if they're not fighting on camera, they're fighting worse behind the scenes.
Well, as
Well,
an
and
attempt.
they cast those characters to be that way. They cast the tough guy. They cast the wimp. They cast the drunk. They cast those people. That's what creates the problem, drama, solution.
And now reality shows are bringing insecurity again. Like I was just filming
Right.
with one of my clients down in Miami, and
Right.
one of the girls that I'm working with right now, I was with her at the cast house. I'm not really allowed to say what happened, but you know, she said when I called her and the show was over, she called me and I go, "How was the show?" She goes, "It only got worse after that. They had to send me a security guard to control me."
I mean, that's crazy. I want to go back to what Jesse said, which is they often want to have one person that's the princess, one person that's the slut, one person that's the virgin, one person that everybody hates. Because they put everyone in these positions, they often only take several words from each time, conversation, and people come out looking not at all who they really are, and that's happened.
The soundbite, the infamous soundbite.
Right.
Right.
I mean, Adrian, I think you wrote up a story about me a couple of years ago with Star Magazine when a reality star punched me in the face. You remember TJ from A-List New York? And also a lot of these reality stars that were extras on reality TV, their mind blows up. They think that there's something bigger than they are, and they forget reality, which is you were an extra on a reality show. Now you're being a reality person, you're getting paid to go out, paid to promote the show. And, I've had experiences where people attacked me, So Adrian, remember that story? We can pull it up online. And now look at TJ and look what I'm doing. I'm speaking about reality TV and TJ's working at a hair salon somewhere in Brooklyn.
Well, exactly. And I think these people realize that they get more airtime when they act crazier. The crazier they act, the more attention they get, the more airtime, the more famous.
Yeah, but you know what? The bottom line is it's turning into tragedy. And that's the problem here.
Yeah, it is. I'm not even going to lie. I mean, to hear that a couple of days later, a Disney star killed himself as well and committed suicide was just like terrifying, because I have a client of mine who just moved to California, and she's very close with me. Again, like I said, a lot of my clients I become friends with after the show's over and the whole ride and everything. I'm friends with people that work on shows, that are on shows from the beginning of their peak to like they get married. I've been invited to weddings. I've been, having a kid, and it's just crazy. You see the roller coaster. Some people get a good 6 months.
Well, you know what though? Eventually there will be regulations, some type of regulations.
Something has to be done.
Yeah.
Something isn't right.
With the whole Gia thing, I'm very, very, very shocked. I mean, Gia was such a great person. She's very motivational, and her wake is actually in a couple hours. I don't think I can make it. I have a crazy schedule.
Right.
But again, she was an amazing person. I can't say nothing negative about her. She was very motivational to me in my business. And, it's so sad that I'm speaking on this behalf of what happened.
Well, I think we're going to end on that note, basically a memory to Gia, because it sounds like she had a lot of people who really loved her, and also to all the other stars that have befallen. Jesse,
Right.
thank you so much for coming on the show.
Anytime.
I'm sure we'll have you on
Thanks
again.
for having me.
I'll follow you on Twitter, Jesse.
There you go.
Hey, I look forward to it. I'll follow you guys all back. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Johnny, thank you for coming
Thank you
on the
so
show.
much, Stephanie.
Adrian, stay with me for a moment. I just want to conclude with you. And
right.
we're breaking for commercial. Stephanie with the Stephanie O Show. Hey, it's Stephanie with the Stephanie O Show, and we're back. You know, it was very interesting talking about reality and what actually happens on reality shows. But you know what? The real reality of it is that we have people on Big Brother losing their jobs. We have people on New York Housewives, New Jersey Housewives, you know, running the risk of going to jail even. We have Richard Hatch. Do you remember him from like the beginning of reality, from Survivor?
Yes.
Didn't he go to jail?
Yes.
Yeah, something with
evasion.
tax evasion, right? I mean, I started making I made my star list right here, and I found all these people who actually ran into trouble. So I figured, you know what? We need to ask the experts. So I brought in my own team of experts here, and I brought in two lawyers, two very prominent lawyers here in New York. I have Phil Solange, who's a criminal attorney in Nassau and Suffolk County. And I also brought in Michelle Labayan. Did I pronounce that right?
You did, Stephanie.
All right, look at that. I never took French, but I
Close
did my
enough.
best.
Close enough.
right?
You were good.
Okay. And Michelle is a bankruptcy attorney both in New York and New Jersey.
Correct.
So I'm going to throw this to you guys because you're the experts here. Adrian and I are just the gossip queens.
Right.
Okay. My experts, tell me, what is going on here in reality?
Well, at least in regards to the New Jersey Housewives, the issue with the bankruptcy issue became perhaps way too real, more real than what they were expecting. So you have the image of the reality show of this very luxurious life and cars and boats and all the beautiful household furnishings. And at the end, a lot of that, if not all of it, was all securitized, meaning that they didn't have any equity in any of the property. They had debt. They had debt in the tune of over $7 million that they claimed on their bankruptcy. Multiple properties, multiple commercial properties, all of it they ended up surrendering without an ability to maintain or hold any of it. So to portray this reality of having a very luxurious life, but yet at the same time really not owning any of it, and a smoke and mirrors more or less of what the true reality is, which led them into trouble because you can see them on TV having this very luxurious life, and then they tell the bankruptcy court they don't have any money, they're broke. The two don't mesh more or less, and the bankruptcy court is the last place you want to go in and not reveal all of your assets or all of your liabilities, and they got into trouble.
Well, lots of lying and lots of tax evasion there too. Lots of lying as well. How many counts were there, Stephanie?
It's a
I'm
39
going to
count.
leave that to the criminal
Hey,
fella right
thank
here.
You, Stephanie. First and foremost, I want to tell you it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. You have a wonderful show. And as you indicated, I'm a New York criminal defense lawyer. And Teresa and Joe Giudice or Giudice are facing a 39-count indictment. I had an opportunity to review the indictment. First and foremost, I want to indicate that I don't represent Teresa, nor do I represent Joe in the criminal case, nor do I have any personal knowledge of the facts and circumstances surrounding the criminal case. But the indictment is very serious. An indictment is a legal document that accuses an individual of a crime or crimes. It's, in essence, an accusation, and we have to remember that in our country, a criminal defendant is innocent until proven guilty. However, these are very serious allegations. The allegations contained within the indictment state that the couple conspired to commit bank fraud. The couple conspired to commit mail fraud. That the couple conspired to commit wire fraud, that there was loan application fraud and bankruptcy fraud as well. In addition, the indictment alleges that Joe failed to file income tax as required by law approximately during the time periods of 2004 to 2008. And these are very, very serious allegations.
Well, let me ask you a question, because that's just one of the reality people who have gotten into some type of issue. Why do all these reality people seem to fall into these tax problems, these bankruptcy problems, these criminal problems? And I'm talking about here 8 or 10 other reality stars.
Well, that's difficult to say. A lot of these people, perhaps this is new to them. They obtain some notoriety quickly. They fall into some money quickly. They get bad advice, and they fail to do what's necessary. They don't file their taxes, and they live this very affluent lifestyle, and sometimes they do the wrong things.
Yeah, exactly as Phil said. I mean, you're receiving a lot of money quickly, and the advice that you're getting is probably not the best that you're receiving at that time. And when you're receiving this income, you're not thinking about quarterly taxes. You're not thinking about paying off other certain debt that you have as you're going along. And you certainly need a financial manager and to have trusted counsel and advice in all areas of that you're going to be endeavoring, especially when you have this type of publicity.
Right. And I think that's another issue, publicity. Does that make these people, and I say people because it's all different agencies, look at you more closely than the average person?
Well, you say that though. What comes first, the chicken or the egg?
Right, exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Perfect.
These people were in trouble years and years ago doing things that were wrong, and nobody saw it until they got on TV and said, "Oh, I just happened to spend $30,000 on this furniture for my home,"
Right.
and pulled out tons of money, and it makes everyone go zero in on them.
Right, exactly. And I know with the bankruptcy court, I know that they don't take any kind of nonsense.
Right, and the bankruptcy court looks back in time. They could look back 3 years, 5 years, even 8 years.
They can.
Absolutely. So if you were not filing your taxes within the last 4 or 5 years, if you did transferences, if you have all these other type of legal issues and concerns with your money, your transference, your property, they're certainly going to take a very good and hard look at all of your property and assets, since you're going to the bankruptcy court asking them to forgive you of your debt. And that's exactly what they're asking for, not a repayment, but a forgiveness of all of their debt.
And if you forget items, let's say you do forget items, and I'm saying this in the broadest sense, I'm not saying one person in particular, but let's say someone does forget to put items in their bankruptcy petition. How forgiving is the bankruptcy court to that?
Well, the bankruptcy court allows you to amend your petitions at just about any point going forward in the bankruptcy. But the issues, if you leave out perhaps a couch or a chair or some bedding or some furniture, that's fair enough. They're not asking for detail to detail specific items. But if you're leaving out 3 or 4 businesses that you own or 3 or 4 properties that you own, the assumption is you didn't forget it, but that you purposely left it out, because who's going to forget that they have businesses?
And how serious, I'm going to turn to you now, Phil, how serious is it if you do purposely leave out these items?
It is very serious. You mentioned publicity before, and as a criminal defendant, you never want publicity in your case. You never want a high-profile case because the government, the prosecuting office, usually takes a stronger position. I expect that the U.S. Attorney's Office will take a very strong position in this case because these are high-profile people,
Right.
and the U.S. Attorney's Office wants to set up an example, a deterrence, to teach people not to engage in this type of conduct. So I think that the U.S. Attorney's Office will take a very strong position.
When they
And you would agree it's in other things too, such as the Jersey Shore people who probably were in many fights before they were on the Jersey Shore, but now they have video of all of it.
Right.
And they want to make sure that people aren't fighting out on the street, so they want to make an example of them.
Right, that's true.
Reality shows.
That's true. Well, look at Richard Hatch. How long did it take till he actually went to jail? I mean, he had all those tax issues, but nothing happened, and they kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it because he was a high-profile guy, and they weren't going to just let it go.
Absolutely.
And I believe, what, he get a couple of years maybe? Or, I don't remember, but, he had his share of problems, you know? And
yeah, and also with the bankruptcy law, I mean, it was recently changed in 2005 under the new law, the Bankruptcy Abuse Protection and Consumer Protection Act. So the idea is that you're preventing abuse and you're protecting consumers. Mm-hmm. So the thought is that they'll give you the opportunity to be able to correct any errors. But if you're looking at potential mortgage fraud, if you're combining that with not filing your taxes, and if you're combining that with leaving out huge amount of assets, it's the perfect storm, the trifecta, that you're pulling in all of these big political issues, social issues right now that we're dealing with. And again, as Phil mentioned, you're going to make an example and make sure other people follow the rule.
Right.
So what type of prison term are you talking about? Let's say there is this perfect storm of, the trifecta, as you said.
Well, it's tough to determine that. The case is still in its infancy. It's a brand new case. They were arraigned a few weeks back. But there are a lot of factors that have to go into consideration, whether or not one of the defendants are going to cooperate or point a finger against each other, whether one of the defendants is going to assume all responsibility and culpability for the actions. But to answer your question, in arriving at an appropriate sentence, a federal judge looks at a sentencing table and looks at a defendant's prior criminal history or lack thereof and compares it against an offense level. Each offense, each crime has a different level. And then it comes in a chart, and then the judge determines what's guideline range that defendant falls under. And at that point in time, the judge can select what sentence is appropriate. In this case, the guideline range, it's very difficult to determine, but I expect that it'll be somewhere in a very high potential prison time because so much money is involved. There's an allegation that so much money was either stolen or accumulated through fraud. So at this point in time, there's a likelihood that incarceration could be a possible sentence with respect to these defendants. But once again, it's too early to determine that.
Okay.
Can I ask a question, though? Martha Stewart, who's probably one of the most famous celebrities that went to jail for tax evasion,
Right.
she was only brought up on 2 counts.
Yes.
Was it tax evasion? Yeah.
It was lying about stocks.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Wasn't it something with the stock market with
Well, and
Martha
there was
Stewart?
It's true. There was a whole bunch of problems.
Yeah.
Well, each case is different, as I indicated, but the judge, the sentencing judge, sentencing is a very important part of federal criminal law, and the judge is going to look at the defendant's criminal background or lack thereof, if they've been engaged or been convicted of these type of offense previously. The judge is also going to consider their family life, their kids. All these things are known as mitigating circumstances, and the judge could give leniency towards that. One potential option is that one of the defendants may cooperate with the government against the other defendant. Cooperation is where a defendant works with the U.S. Attorney's Office to try to secure a conviction against another defendant. If the defendant substantially complies, the U.S. Attorney's Office can issue what's known as a 5K1 letter, and at that point in time, the federal judge can sentence the defendant to anything that he or she, the judge, feels is appropriate, including no incarceration.
Right.
Okay.
You know, they might take into the fact that she's got 4 kids. You know, they might.
Right.
Absolutely.
Sure, that's always a consideration.
All right. Well, we have to break to a commercial now. I hate, the hardest thing of this, I got to tell you, I'll be the regular person now for a moment here. The hardest thing is, as they say it to me in my ear that I have to break for a commercial, it's like, I don't want to end because it's so interesting, but they're saying to me, you have to break, you have to break, you have to break. So we're going to break for a commercial. We're going to come back. We're going to say a quick goodbye. And actually, you could even sit here. We have Robert Davi coming on, who was famous for Die Hard. And he's actually going to be singing here in Nassau County. So if you'd like to stay here and talk to him with me, that'd be great. And Adrian, I'm going to say goodbye to you because I know you have to go find some more gossip there at Star Magazine. I don't want to stop you from gossiping. So, my friend, I'll see you next week.
See you next week. Thanks,
All right.
Stephanie. Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you.
Bye,
Pleasure.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, it's Stephanie with the Stephanie O Show, and we are back. And I'm so sorry to everyone that's waiting for me that I'm running late. I have Carrie Solanges on. He is our county legislator from Elmont, who I love to death. I love his whole family. And I have Robert Davi on, who is just so talented. I don't even know where to begin. I feel honored to have him on. My favorite movie is Die Hard, and he was Special Agent Johnson in Die Hard. But he's been in a ton of movies. I can't even name them all. And he's an amazing singer. I've never heard a voice like this ever before. And he'll be here on Long Island, and I'm going to let Carrie introduce him because he's coming to one of our wonderful parks here in Nassau County.
Absolutely. I want to say thank you to Stephanie. Thank you, everyone, for listening. My name is Carrie Solage. I'm a county legislator responsible for our county government and, our administration under Ed Mangano. We've had a lot of great acts coming to the Eisenhower Park, and I'm happy to say that we have Robert coming. I have to say, as an 80s baby, someone who watched the Goonies over and over again, Robert, I love you, and I'm so happy to have you coming to Eisenhower.
Well, thank you, Carrie. It's really a thrill to be there, and I got to commend yourself and Ed Mangano and the team there putting on these concerts for the people, because I think the arts are the most important release emotionally and creatively, and it brings us all together, and especially during a difficult time. And everyone that's been to Eisenhower Park, I have friends of mine that are telling me, hey, they can't wait to come because it's a pristine venue and a great a time that they have there. And I'm a Long Island boy. I was born in Astoria, Queens, and I grew up in Dix Hills and Deer Park, and then went to Hofstra University.
Wow, right in my neighborhood.
My Uncle Mike and my cousins grew up in East Meadow, right there where Eisenhower Park is.
That's where I live.
Lane.
I live in East Meadow.
Yeah.
Wonderful town.
This is awesome. I'm so glad, Robert, you're coming. And there's nothing like you said before. There's nothing like a Long Island hot summer night, and the weather's
those
great.
Hot summer nights. Yeah. Go ahead, Karen.
No, go ahead, Robert. Go, please.
Well, again, growing up on Long Island, my mom was born in Southampton. My grandfather was a bootlegger with Marshall Field and Joseph Kennedy back in those Prohibition days. It's funny, funny stories about that. I tell a little bit about those stories when I do my show, because they're so colorful and interesting. But those Long Island summer nights where the humidity is such, there's nothing better for the voice. And in 1977, I did my first movie with Frank Sinatra. And then subsequently, during that summer in mid-July, there was a concert that he gave, outdoor concert, on a hot, humid summer night, or a warm, humid summer night like we're going to have August 30th. And it just does wonders for the voice. And it doesn't do good for the musical instruments, some of the string stuff, but it does great stuff for the voice. And I do hope people go to Dobby Sing Sinatra, listen to some clips, read some of the reviews. For instance, I don't know if you played a clip, Stephanie, of the music.
I believe they're going to play that.
And read what Quincy Jones has said.
I did. I read what Quincy Jones said. I was very impressed by that.
Quite a show. I'm very excited to come to my home turf and sing my heart out for all of you.
That's great. There's no place like home, and there's no place like Nassau County, Long Island. I'm so happy to represent such a great county with so many great people. And I'm glad you talked about your roots, Robert, because like you, I was also born in Queens, and early on we moved out to Elmont, and we took advantage of the great schools, and as a result, I was able to do well and go into politics and law and know good people like Stephanie. Stephanie, you've been such a good friend to me and my family, and I look forward to seeing you at the concert.
I will definitely be there. We'll be at Eisenhower Park on August 30th at 7 p.m. Wouldn't miss it for the world. This is a family performance. Bring the kids, bring the whole family, and make a picnic dinner of it, because it's going to be a beautiful evening, and we're so happy to have you there, Robert, that I can't wait.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie, and I want to again thank the Nassau County for what they're doing, even bringing that film studio to Nassau County. That's a great thing that you guys did, Gary, you and Ed and the team, wanting to bring the film industry to, it's funny because it started on Long Island at a certain point. There were early film days, and to have that studio in Nassau and plans for different things you guys have for the county and bringing jobs back to Long Island, which is so important, as everyone knows, for the economy and for the thriving metropolis that it is.
Robert, we're going to play you a clip right now, so I want to just put the sound up so we can hear it.
Let's fly.
Hold on 1 second.
Pack up and fly away.
Amazing. Can't wait. Really can't wait.
What are you listening to?
They put on a small clip, one of your Sinatra clips, and it was fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. So
I asked them to. They could have downloaded. You can get the album on Amazon or iTunes. You can listen to clips on that, ladies and gentlemen, who's listening. So you get the full force of it. And Stephanie, you should read some of what Quincy Jones has said and other people have said. I'll also be in Las Vegas headlining with Don Rickles September 28th and 29th. So the people should get a good understanding of what they're going to experience that night.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm putting it up on all my social media, and I'm telling everybody else out there, put up on your social media, August 30th, Eisenhower Park, 7 p.m. Please come up to me. If you see me there, come up to me, say hello, come join my picnic. In fact, if you tell me you're there, I'll bring enough food for everybody so we can all sit together and have one big Nassau County picnic. In fact, Carrie, I love that idea. Let's make it a big Nassau County picnic.
Absolutely. It's a great idea. It doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. We're just all there to have a good time. I'm so glad to have spoken to Rob. I mean, Robert, really, it's great speaking with you. I'm sure we'll catch up at the concert.
Absolutely. Now, let me just tell you about the Sinatra in terms of the reason why I'm doing the American Songbook is because of that unifying principle. He was the first artist to come out against anti-Semitism or racial bigotry of any kind. And in my show, I talk about that contribution that he gave, not just Picasso's contribution to music, but to society, and how the Great American Songbook was a music that brought us all together, and young and old like it. I mean, I've had concerts where I've got 15-year-olds and 20-year-olds. I'm doing a thing in L.A., special secret thing for a bunch of 20-year-olds at the hottest club in L.A. It's a secret night. But the kids are discovering this music in a different way and having a touch to what that was, that elegance and romance. So tell your kids, tell your families,
and bring your lawn
God bless
chair.
all of you.
And don't forget your lawn chair. And we'll all be set for August 30th, Eisenhower Park, 7 p.m. Robert Davi. Can't wait. Thank you so much for coming on my show. I really appreciate it. And we'll all be there, and we're all going to put it up on our social media.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Carrie, so much. Thank you
My
for
pleasure.
everything
Take
you
care,
do
everybody.
for our county. I know you work so hard, and I know your family works so hard, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. All the best to you and your family.
Just remember me when you're the president one day. I've always said that.
Stephanie?
Carrie?
What'd you say, Stephanie?
I said, just remember me and my kids when you're the president one day. My son wants to be the Surgeon General, okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Don't
Thank
forget
you,
that
okay?
promise, okay?
You got it.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care
Thank you,
now.
guys.
Bye-bye.
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 All right. Well, I'm still here. Oh. I'm still here in the studio with Michelle and with Phil, and we're going to say goodbye because the time has come. And of course, I always go over. It's just one of those things. But just a couple of little housekeeping issues I want to take care of. Number one, I want to say thank you to Hammer Fitness. They're in Syosset, and they are unbelievable. Unbelievable for personal training and also for classes. You want to get in shape? Hammer Fitness is the way to go. Just unbelievable. I also want to say thank you to Mia Posto, best food in the world. You want to have Italian food? Mia Posto is the place to go. Hicksville and in Oceanside, fabulous, fabulous place. I want to tell my children I'm very proud of all of them. They've all are just unbelievable. I was going to go into all the things they accomplished and have my Kathy Lee moment, but hey, you know what? It's my show.
Why not?
You know what?
Go
You're right.
ahead.
Hey, it's my show. What am I doing? I have the right to do this, so I'm going to say a quick, Danny, I'm so proud of you. I know you're starting the Pledge of Allegiance for our President Obama at Buffalo. I'm very, very proud of you. Stephen, you're taking your Step 2 test, and you're just about done with medical school. Can't wait to see you at LIJ. Ari, I know you've made it. You're playing Division II field hockey. Very proud of you. Can't wait to go to those games. Lana, I love to go to Cornell. I just love that 5-hour drive now. But very proud of you. And to my other 4 children who are in high school and middle school and elementary school, I'm proud of all of you too. And with that said, it's time to say goodbye. It's Stephanie with the Stephanie O Show. See you guys all next week. Thank you so much, Adrian. You're the best.